What's up, hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Pod Snipe Celly. My name is Dan Bradley. Alongside me tonight, the relatively freshly tattooed Joel Fernino. Joel, sun's out, guns out.
Yes. No, I'm not doing this as a statement. It just makes it a lot easier when I just took the bandage off today.
Yeah, that was, Saturday that you got some more work done on the right sleeve?
Yeah, so Saturday I did session 2 of what I thought was going to be only 2 sessions, but it's more than I thought, so now we have to do a third, which is okay, but for everyone watching, this is the Avengers. There's still some things left to do, but that's what I got done. So that's why the gun show is happening right now. Totally inadvertent. It just makes my life easier.
Yeah, I mean, especially recovering from a tattoo, comfort is king. So.
This one hurt a little.
Yeah, I bet. Mark already jumping in the comments tonight to say nice thing.
Yes, thank you. It's I'm excited to get it finished, but now with some summer obviously upon us, some trips that involve pools and lakes, I might have to wait until I think closer to the end of July to get it fully done, but that's okay.
Yeah.
The nice thing is it looks sick even when you're like, oh, like even you were like, yeah, it's still not finished, but what's not finished? You don't really even know.
Right. You can't tell. And I mean, part of that too is like just the angle from StreamYard here cuts it off just a little bit out of view.
That's true. When you
hold it up, I can kind of see, but like,
yeah,
even the A, if you left it as it is, which you said earlier, you said before the show, you're doing more on that.
Yeah, that and the Spider-Man logo. I was like, I actually really like these just the way they are, but that just means they're going to be even better colored.
Yeah.
But Dan, we were off for a week, about 2 weeks, and the last time we had our show, we were previewing the conference finals. Mm-hmm. Little did we know that our hiatus would lead us right into the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, I think one of us is 2-0 on the picks, and one of us is 1-1.
Oh no, I'm gonna be saying this throughout until
don't jinx it.
Oh no! I'm just saying I'm gonna be saying this until a champion is crowned. Now I'm going to regret not putting some sort of bet on my bracket because I could not have fathomed it being perfect leading into the Stanley Cup Final.
I didn't want you to use the P word.
I used it last time. Remember? We said after I'd taken the gummy, I used it multiple times, said my bracket was perfect, and then I said in that show.
You did say that after like the first round, and I think you did say it after the second round too, so I guess I guess we're in a row. Keep it rolling.
We will see what happens, but it's a first for me. My preseason Stanley Cup Final matchup was actually right. That doesn't happen much for me.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed with the Stars, especially having put money on that one before the season started.
Yep.
Had some really juicy odds there, and they were close, but just kind of ran out of gas against Edmonton. And then Florida really stood on business against the Rangers, and they took care of business as well. So
yeah, that was I want to say it was like surprising. I don't know. The way that it started, it just looked to me like, oh man, I think New York is poised. I never faltered. I still was always like, I think Florida's going to win it, but just I did not feel good about it after games really 1, 2, and 3. I was like, I don't know. This really is a toss-up right now. And then, like you said, Florida stood on business and got the job done.
Yeah, once again, for the Rangers, we saw the same problem that has plagued them the last 2 years. Playoff scoring dries up. Igor Shesterkin cannot score goals. He can keep them out incredibly well, but he just I'm just going to let that one marinate for you.
Yeah, with amazing ink, high-rise apartment in the sky, and a nearly perfect, I'm only on the 11th floor, and a nearly perfect NHL playoff bracket. Jesus, guys, save some awesomeness for the rest of us. I will try, because now naturally what's going to happen is it's going to be perfect until now.
Well, let's keep the awesomeness going here with some stick taps. Joel, my stick tap for the night, PWHL Minnesota, the first ever Walter Cup champions.
Yeah.
Taylor Heisey is your playoff MVP.
You cannot say that a professional Minnesota team didn't win a championship now.
I mean, I couldn't say that before because the Lynx and the Twins had won, but
the Twins had won?
Yeah, Twins, their last World Series was 91. They won in 87 and in 91.
I have texts from UNHP crying that you
never... No, they have always said in our lifetimes. They have always said that.
Do I not get yelled at for the exact same thing?
You do, because literally every one of your teams but the Bears has won in your lifetime.
Right, but when we're talking about the Bears specifically, I get yelled at for it not being in my lifetime.
And again, Minnesota has not played in a championship in our lifetime. That's what we get on about, because you've at least seen the Bears get to a Super Bowl in your lifetime. None of the Minnesota men's teams have made it to a championship in our lifetime. Meanwhile, PWHL Minnesota comes in first year on the block, showing the boys how it's done. Lynx have won, I think, 4 now, 3 or 4.
Yeah. Speaking of the Lynx, like the WNBA chatter lately, it's been cool to see.
It's been great.
It's been awesome. I love the whole. I mean, and yes, selfishly, it has involved my team heavily in the sky, but I mean. Let's set the record straight, by the way. Tangents. We'll set the record straight here. What? I don't even remember her name. Something Carter on the sky. Something Carter.
The gal who hip checked.
The girl who literally just went out of her way to hip check Caitlin Clark. It's something. Her last name's Carter. I can't remember her first name.
Starts with a C. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's CH something. I can't remember her name. Either way, I'm not defending that. That was a bullshit move. That was there's no need for that. Now, when it comes to, Caitlin Clark keeps getting bullied. It's the professional. It's the pros. You're gonna get bodied. If it's at least a borderline legal play, I have no sympathy for you. She'll get back up. She'll continue to be great. That hip check was not cool. That was bullshit. And her post game comments, and then social media. She decided to run to social media and say stuff no, that ain't cool. However, the hate that Angel Reese gets, that needs to stop right now. Angel Reese is awesome.
Yeah, people have been hating on Angel Reese since for 2 years now.
I know. All because all she does is win, and she's great too. I get it. Caitlin Clark will probably end up being the GOAT by the end of their careers, but still. Jordan needed I could think of some
everybody.
Enemies.
I mean,
what's his face?
It's a Magic Johnson and Larry Bird type of situation as well. Except you've got Jordan, you've got Bird, you've got Johnson, you've got Hakeem Olajuwon, you've got Patrick Ewing, you've got all of them on the women's side in this draft class with Angel Reese, with Camila Cardoso, with Caitlin Clark.
Yep. So it's cool.
Cameron Brink.
Yeah.
But I agree. Throwing all these names out there.
I agree with your stick tap, Stan.
Mark.
They played Boston in
they did.
Final?
Yep, they played Boston.
Okay.
Minnesota was up 2-1, best of 5 series. Minnesota had a goal waved off for goaltender interference. Controversial call. I think it was the correct call. I hate it, but I think it was the correct call.
So no hockey league knows what goaltender interference is. Got it.
I think they got this one right.
All right.
Minnesota fans were pretty salty about it naturally because about 2 minutes later,
I didn't see the
Boston
play. I just
scored
wanted
and won. But yeah, it would have been Taylor Heisey on a game winner too, which she was the playoff MVP either way, but to have clinched it with that goal in that situation would have been unreal. When it went back to Boston for Game 5, I was convinced that Erin Frankel was going to shut Minnesota out because she was outstanding. Joel, let me read you her playoff numbers here. So in the playoffs with Boston, she was 5-3-0. All 3 of those losses came in the finals. a 1.45 goals against average, a 953 save percentage. She very easily could have been playoff MVP for the losing side. I was convinced that Boston was going to win that game. Boston has an outstanding squad. And, like, that's what you want, right? You want a championship series to go the distance, whether it's best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, whatever. You always want it to go the distance. And for that to be the case, women's hockey rocks, dude. PWHL is so fun. And if you're not watching it, like, you're seriously missing out. And I hope that the Stanley Cup Final between Edmonton and Florida is as good as what we saw with the PWHL in Minnesota and Boston, because those two teams battled the entire. Did you mute yourself there?
Yeah, I did. Something tells me it's going to. I was doing something on my phone. I didn't want the sound to go. Something tells me that this is going to, I don't know exactly, go the distance. I don't know about 7. I mean, when was the last 7-game Stanley Cup Final?
Oh, that's a great
question. It wasn't
too
long ago. Was it 2019 for the Blues?
I think that's it. Because let's see, Tampa cruised past Dallas.
Yep.
They swept Montreal.
Yep.
Colorado didn't take.
That was 6, I believe. It was 5 or 6.
It was 6. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So sure enough, that was the last one, was St. Louis and Boston. And before that, also involving Boston, except that time they won when they beat Vancouver 4-3 in Vancouver, and then Vancouver melted down.
We were at a bar yesterday, and they had the new 30 for 30 about the riots.
I cannot wait to watch that.
Yeah.
I'm planning on it this weekend.
Yeah, I got to watch that too. It's brought back a lot of the pictures. I was like, wow, I remember this. I think I was like a sophomore in high school.
By the way, speaking of the ESPN docs, did you see the one that Peyton Manning did that featured Caitlin Clark and Camila Cardoso and I'm blanking on her name, gal from UCLA.
Angel Reese.
no, Angel Reese was LSU.
Oh, right. UCLA, LSU, same thing.
A lot of letters.
Not
you know your ABDs and your 1-2-4s better than anybody I've ever met.
It's true. I for some reason I get those teams mixed up. Their colors are kind of no, they're not.
They're not even close.
No, they're not. I saw a trailer for. I know what you're talking about. I didn't watch it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another fantastic documentary. Just throwing that one out there as well was as one to watch. And then Joel, your stick tap will kind of segue into a longer discussion, but you got somebody that you wanted to mention here as well in the stick tap segment. So lay it on us.
Joe Pavelski. I feel like I obviously wanted Edmonton to win, but it's a stick tap because something tells me it might be it. He's obviously going to.
He's pretty much said like, this is it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I got to stick tap
without formally retiring.
The only Joe Pa that we recognize. I mean, he's been one of my favorite non-Hawks since I started watching hockey. Like even on the Sharks, not even battling. We swept them in that conference finals in 2010, but still.
He battled though.
He battled, exactly. And that was my first real true like extended view of him. I'm like, who is this guy? He is damn good. And he just like the ageless wonder. What is he, 38?
36.
36, okay. So, I mean,
he would be 37 before next season, I believe.
Okay. So, I mean, if he's calling it a career, this is a nice segue, but if he is calling it a career, it's going to be sad to see him go and also not win a cup. And I think he would move into first place for me for, best player and player who to have never won a cup that I wish I could have seen win a cup.
He's up there. Henrik Lundqvist is up there.
It's basically a 1A. I always forget about Carey Price. Okay. So I guess it's like a 1A, 1B, 1C with those three.
If you want to go back a little ways too, Marcel Dion.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
yeah, top 5 goal scorer all time, and doesn't win a cup. That's
yeah. So that leads me into the question, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Is Joe Pavelski a Hall of Famer?
This is a really, really tough one. And for me, Joe Pavelski is first ballot to the Hall of Very Good.
Okay.
I do not think I can put him in the Hall of Fame without the Stanley Cup. Not that a Stanley Cup alone should qualify somebody for or against being in the Hall of Fame, but because he doesn't have the same individual accolades that typically somebody who would be in the Hall of Fame would have. Now, that's not to say if he does end up getting in that I think that's a bad move. You know, he certainly had an outstanding career. You know, he retires with 476 goals and 1,068 points in 1,300 games.
And a plus
1,332.
And a plus minus of plus 201.
Mm-hmm. He also holds the record for most playoff goals by an American-born skater.
Yep.
74. The guy has shown up time and time again, regular season, postseason. But as far as, you know, the individual accomplishments go, 4-time All-Star, end of list. No Selkes, no Harts, no Art Rosses. And again, you know, Pavelski, solid defensive forward, but you also look at some of the other centers who were playing in his era, guys like Patrice Bergeron, guys like Anze Kopitar, guys like Crosby, Malkin, you name it. And if you're going strictly from defensively, because I have to get a Wild reference in there, Mikko Koivu.
Jonathan
It's
Toews.
It's tougher at Taves. Yeah, absolutely get Taves in there defensively.
Yep.
You look at those other forwards that he would be up against in consideration for where do you rank among the best centers of your era? Joe Thornton.
Right.
Can't not name Jumbo Joe.
Long-time teammate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it makes it really, really tough for me to say, yes, I think he's in. That's not to say there's not an argument there. Otherwise, like, why would we even be having this conversation? To me, I think he's fringe, but leaning out at this point. But that's kind of where I'm at with it.
As sadly realistic as it's going to be for me to say, I actually agree. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to, with my heart, say no, absolutely. Like, not first ballot, but definitely in the Hall of Fame. But, I mean, you said it. You made the case. Like, look, again, we can argue till the cows come home about someone having Stanley Cups getting you into the Hall of Fame. It makes a difference. You need
it does when it's like you have the awards and did they get the cup? That's like the one thing that really
exactly.
And if he got it this year, again, I still don't know that is enough to get him in.
That would be for me.
Certainly helps his case.
It would absolutely. I think if he was able to get the cup this year and ride off into the sunset with the Stanley Cup, I think it would have gotten him in. Not first ballot. There was never going to be a first ballot discussion here, but it definitely, to me, would have gotten him in maybe closer to the end of his the eligibility or whatever it is. I don't know. How long do they get again?
I think they get 10 years.
I was going to say, I knew they get like a long time.
They get a longer time because, like, for example, MLB, they limit it to 10 players per year, but you also only have, like, I think 5 years of eligibility.
Right.
Whereas the NHL, you're inducting like four players, 2 builders, and then 2 women's players. So you can at most have a class of 8 in a given year. And they don't always do, you know, a full 8.
Right.
So
I saw you put up Mateo's comment. No, he's not. Like, yeah, I mean, as we stand here right now, look, the fact of the matter is he didn't get the cup. that is a huge stepping stone to have. And if you want to take the whole cup conversation out of it, you said it yourself. Where are the individual awards?
Yeah,
Outside of the
it's
4
tough
All-Star
without the
appearances. Yeah, like you said, no Selkies, no Art Ross, no Rocket Richard, no Hearts.
Right.
Obviously no Conn Smythe because he did no cup either. Like it's the other big thing is he's a member of the 1,000-point club. Couldn't quite make it to the 500 goal club.
It's 71st all time in points. Goals.
Top 100 scorer of all time. Like there's something to be said there, but I would like to that could be an off-season thing we do of the top 100 scorers in the history of the NHL. Which ones are not in the Hall of Fame?
I'll have to research that and put it together.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that.
At top 100 by goals.
That's a tease.
By goals or by points?
Points.
Okay.
Points.
I'll tuck that one away.
Okay. But yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it on that. Like, right now, sadly, he's not.
You ready for a real interesting one here? Pavelski has 5 more career goals regular season than Patrick Kane.
No, that's going to change. Patrick Kane ain't retired anytime soon.
No. And I think, unlike Pavelski, Kane's going to the Hall of Fame.
Well, he's a first
ballot.
Like,
there's no debate about that.
No. You
which again, it's not just the points. It's also the cups. It's the individual accolades.
Yep. Oh, we didn't even. How many Olympic team appearances for Pavelski, along with gold medals?
He had a couple.
I don't think he wouldn't have had golds. U.S. hasn't won gold in how many years now?
No, in fact, so his 4 international appearances were the World Championships in 2009, where they took 4th. He was part of the 2010 Olympic team that took silver. Because Crosby's golden goal. The 2014 Olympics, the USA took 4th because they absolutely got stomped by Canada in the semis, and then I think Sweden beat them 5-1 in the
I remember that
game.
That was
because I was working it. I was cutting those highlights. That was
a rough Olympics to watch for Team USA.
It was other than the game against Russia.
Yes, other than Oshie becoming Captain America.
They peaked right there, and it all downhill.
Other than Oshie becoming Captain America.
Yeah, and there was an argument that Pavelski could have been Captain America as well, because he was regularly wearing a letter for that team.
You loved who I always chose as Captain America.
Yeah, it got
it was always Zach Parise. It was Parise.
Pavelski, Parise was definitely up there too.
It was always
like those were the main 3.
Yeah. But that's so Dan. It's time. To go. It's time. We are here. The Stanley Cup Final is here once again. The Edmonton Oilers.
It is, but we still got to wait 3 freaking more days.
I know.
This schedule, I wrote this out, is so dumb. Because
what do you mean? I'm about to. I want to hear your point because I'm going to shut it down.
They start game 1 on June 8th. If the series goes to game 7, game 7 will be played on June 24th.
Yep. But
that is a stupidly long time.
But do you know why?
Yes, it's because ABC also holds the broadcast rights for the NBA Finals, and so they're trying to avoid having those two competing head-to-head on the same night.
There's the other factor in there too, though, that this is going to be the furthest distance between 2 cities in the Stanley Cup Final ever.
Yes.
2,543 miles between Edmonton, Alberta, and Miami, Florida. Hey, Google. Never mind. But
Joking.
yeah, so it is at 543 miles. This Cup final is the furthest between two cities in NHL history. That's a huge proponent, and that's also that's 2 time zones too, isn't Edmonton and Pacific?
It is 2 time zones.
Yeah, so that's
the real kicker for me is that between the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup, you have no game between either league on Friday, June 7th,
okay.
Tuesday the 11th, Sunday the 16th, Wednesday the 19th, and Saturday the 22nd. So there are 3 weekend days that you have where neither of those teams are playing. Well, how do you let that happen between these 2 leagues? And it starts with the NHL because they're waiting until Saturday. They could get the game Friday. That's a toss-up to me. Like, that one's not so bad.
I don't disagree. But you know what? Selfishly, I'm cool with it because hopefully and most likely when it goes to at least 5, I will be in Vegas for game 5 and 6 if 6 happens. So that'll be kind of fun. That'll be kind of fun to go to a sports book and actually watch and bet on the game live, I actually think I'm just missing the draft too. That's going to be in the Sphere. I think it's going to be there the next week when I'm already back. Right? June 28th, is it? Or 7th?
Well, again, it's going to depend on when the finals are done, because I saw originally a different date posted than what it's going to ultimately be because of the final. I believe what we're going to get now is the 27th and 28th, but I know for a time they were looking at the 20th and 21st as the dates. Which, if you still have Stanley Cup games being played, then there's no way they would have been able to pull that off. So it'll be
that's why now they went with the 27th, 28th, which is literally the weekend after I'm there. I could have gone to the Sphere and watched us draft probably Demidov. I hope.
I disagree.
No, you're thinking Levshanov?
I think they're taking Levshanov.
That's fine.
I would be.
Oh no! No!
I mean, great players either way.
I just hope it's not us.
He represents more upside, just in a bubble.
It's just the comparisons that get to my head of like, if we skip out on getting our own version of a Kaprizov, perhaps like that kind of hurts. But
I mean, it does. But it also, like, if you can get a Roman Josi,
that's
like
to pair with Korchinski,
Vlasic,
Del Mastro. Oh yeah, Vlasic, Del Mastro. Hopefully, Jones. That's now we're starting to have a solid little decor there.
Brian, what's his name? Played for the Gophers. I should know this.
What? Sam Renzel.
Renzel, yeah, sorry.
I was like Sam Renzel.
I was thinking of Ryan Johnson.
Ryan.
Also,
I thought you said Brian. I'm like, Brian Campbell hasn't played in many years, Dan.
Renzel's who I was thinking of. But yeah, to bring it back to Edmonton and Florida.
Yep.
I think the easiest way to sum up this series is to say that Florida is the better team, but Edmonton has the higher star power.
Yep.
On their roster.
That pretty much sums it up, really. You almost can't elaborate too much on it. It's literally it's true. I mean, if you're boiling it down to the 3 main factors, the tail of the tape here, if you will, offense, point Edmonton. Defense, many points.
I don't think it's as many.
Okay, not many.
As what?
Sorry, their defense. Edmonton's defense has been a lot better. I'm just giving them shit. But yeah, but ultimately, Florida team defense gets the point. Goaltending on paper, it's Florida all day, every day.
It depends which version of the Jekyll and Hyde Stuart Skinner shows up.
The saves he was making in games 5 and 6 for them going up and then in clinching, the saves he was making, I was like, who the hell is this? And when did Jake Ottinger put on an Edmonton Oilers jersey? Like, that's what that felt like in that series. Because Jake Ottinger did not look like Jake Ottinger, although a lot of that is due to just the sheer offensive, just juggernaut ability that Edmonton has. So you can't really blame, Otter too much there. But that's kind of what it felt like to me. I was like, where the hell? Stuart Skinner came back and was just like, no, he's standing on business.
Yeah, let me throw some numbers out there in regards to Skinner here. In games that Edmonton has won during these playoffs, Skinner has a 1.75 goals against average, 928 save percentage.
Damn.
In their losses, 4.35 goals against. So more than 2.5 goals more per game. And that save percentage drops to 818 from 928 to 818. When Stuart Skinner is on his game, it shut it down, lights up.
Yeah.
When he is off his game,
the
red lights will cause migraines.
He looks like he belongs back in the AHL when he's off it. Yeah. You're right. I mean, Jekyll and you're right. It's literally feast or famine. That is the epitome of that analogy right there.
Yeah. And I don't want to, I kind of do. The comparison to me is kind of like Jordan Binnington. So for the second time this show, we're going to go back to the 2019 Cup, where the Blues were a good team, maybe not a great team, but a good team, but couldn't figure their goaltending out. And then Jordan Binnington goes on a playoff heater and wins the Cup and has not been a top 10 goalie in the league since that Cup win.
I'd argue he's been a bottom 10 goalie in the league.
At times, yes. At times, he's been putrid. But to say that I see some similarities with what Skinner is doing right now, I think is a fair comparison to make, especially when you look at the other Cup-winning goaltenders we've had since then. Vasilevsky. You had Darcy Kemper, who
Darcy Kemper is
again Kemper is in that good but not great tier.
He also played in front of
he
played in
one
front
of the best defensive teams we've seen in years in front of him.
So that's you got,
and then Vegas last year, Aiden Hill on a heck of a run, and he's been good but injured since then.
Again, though, arguably also, like he's at least proven himself since that little run, but still, like he played again in front of one of the best defensive teams we've seen in a while as well. So outside of Vasilevsky, who was the last superstar goaltender to win a cup?
Vasilevsky.
I said
other than Vasilevsky.
Other than Vasilevsky. Who was the last true superstar goaltender? I'd even tell you that.
Probably, let's see. As far as superstar, I think you'd have to go Jonathan Quick.
Yeah. That's it, because as great as Crawford was those years, he was never a superstar goalie. He was a very damn good goalie, but not a superstar.
And then the two Penguins Cups, you had Matt Murray.
Matt
won both of those.
Matt Murray did the Jordan Binnington before Jordan Binnington did the Jordan
Binnington.
So really
had an even harder fall off after that.
But he had a better team in front of him too.
Beth chiming in to say, I do not want to see Sam Bennett or Matthew Tkachuk win the Cup.
There's going to be a lot of that going around.
I feel the same way.
There's going to be a lot of that going around.
But also, as a known Bobrovsky lover,
you are,
along with HP, who I believe has a Bobrovsky jersey.
I think he does.
It's hard not to root for Bobrovsky.
And when we're talking about players you might not want to see win a cup.
Oh, yeah, because then on the other side, you've got Evander Kane, Corey Perry,
which there's that fun fact. Corey Perry is now going to be the first player in NHL history to play for the Stanley Cup with 5 different teams. Can you name all 5 of those teams? Sorry, the other 4, because Edmonton is obviously the 5.
Right. Edmonton is the most recent. The first was the Anaheim Ducks in 2007, which he won that cup.
Correct.
Then it was 2020 with the Dallas Stars.
Correct.
It was 2021 with the Montreal Canadiens.
Correct.
And then it was 2022 with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Correct. All up and out of all 5, he only won one of them. Potentially, asterisk.
I'll tell you what, though. Speaking of Hall of Famers, Corey Perry, he's going to go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. People won't like it, but, he's going.
You take the character out of it and just talk about the sport, he absolutely deserves to go.
I mean, even character, I would have said before the stuff that happened with Chicago, and that it was only the on the ice stuff that people didn't like. But then when all that happened,
and that was again, we found out it wasn't. We found out it wasn't like horrendous, but it was still like not professional conduct. Like
what we found out was nothing. We found out it was bad enough that he could get kicked off the team, and bad enough that the Blackhawks could void his contract without any future or like any further discipline, but also not so bad that he couldn't re-sign with Edmonton the same year and not get suspended at all. Make sense. Like explain it to me like I'm 5.
Well, we kind of do. We were at least given enough info to know he got trashed at an event, and
but we don't know that because the only person who said that was John Scott. And John Scott later walked that story back.
Well, I think we know.
No, but that's the thing. We think we know, but we don't know that we know. And until we know what we know,
which we never will, because that's HR for you. They don't have they have to keep that stuff secret.
Mark lost the live stream for a moment. He switched over to Twitter.
Enjoy some adult beverages while watching the stream. What beverage?
Way to do it. Yeah, let us know
what adult? What are you drinking? But we kind of had the tail of the tape. I have my pick, but that's like my.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of the stream being taken out here, we lost Joel for a minute, so we're just going to kind of pivot things here a little.
Oh no,
bit.
I'm good.
Okay, you're back.
That was
you were doing a Mark impression and took out your own stream.
I needed to go get an adult beverage, but no, there's a back button on my mouse and I accidentally clicked it. So, seltzers on a school night. What? Actually, wait. Can we derail really quick? We're gonna derail really quick. Last night, I tried Pappy Van Winkle for the first time ever.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's
amazing.
Incredible. It was the 12-year. Yeah, it was the 12-year.
There you go.
It was there was some amazing human at the bar that heard me asking the bartender how much the pour was. I was like, at that bar I was at, they said 2-ounce pour was like $45, I think.
Oh, geez.
And I was like,
I mean that kind of tracks, but like that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm good.
I can do 4 roses for a lot cheaper than that.
Exactly. I was like, I'm good. I just kind of wanted to know, and to answer Mark's question, I did not pay for it. The amazing retired cop at the end of the bar, I think she happens to actually live in my building too. She calls over to me and Kate and goes, "Are you guys Cubs or Sox fans?" Because for anyone who doesn't live here, it is the crosstown this week, last night and tonight, Cubs versus Sox. So we were in a bar around Wrigley, and she was like, "Are you Cubs or Sox?" And we're like, "Well, Cubs, of course." And she goes, "That's the correct answer. Bartender, I'll buy it for him. We have to split it though." And I was like, "Whoa, what?"
There you go.
So that was nice, and it was delicious. But anyway, back to hockey. I wanted to get that out of that. I wanted to bring that up because it was fun. What do we got here? Just as bad. Pete Rose never being a baseball Hall of Famer for. Oh, totally. Dan and I are both on the same train there. Put Pete Rose in the damn Hall of Fame, MLB. You cowards. You capitalist cowards. No, we're gonna.
Yeah.
He did all this betting stuff, but if we talked about Wrigley Field, I could walk to Wrigley Field right now and DraftKings is plastered everywhere. And not to mention, they literally have a sports book attached to the stadium.
Yeah, not to mention that, but then there's also talk now that FanDuel is going to take over a bunch of regional sports networks. So Minnesota Wild fans who are watching, you could be in a couple of years watching the Wild play on FanDuel Sports North.
They do. They already have like their own streaming service for like the horse races and such.
Well, and I mean it's Bally right now, which is another betting company already. So we're already there. But then
that's true.
To kick it up to FanDuel and really, it's ridiculous. Yeah. But also Bally sucks, and we don't like them either. So
Bally does suck. It's one of the few hotel casinos I do not go visit when I'm in Vegas. However, we have one in Chicago. I actually haven't gone to it, but it's supposed to be pretty cool.
Isn't that the one that they just opened not that long ago? That
they opened
their temporary facility and they're building that. Yeah, I wrote about that for work like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Or something.
It's their temporary facility, and then eventually, I don't even know when at this point, it was supposed to start already, but it didn't when they get a shovel in the ground to put it on the river.
Yeah, that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Joel, I got another thing of numbers here that I want to throw at you. So I was looking at Edmonton's last couple years of playoff losses. Okay. And in the rounds that they got eliminated, what could I find that was like a common trend that I could point to for their last 2 years? In the 2022 Western Conference Final, when they lost to the Avalanche, Edmonton out-hit Colorado in 3 of those 4 games. Last year, when they lost in the second round to Vegas, in their 4 losses, they out-hit Edmonton in 3 of those games, and the one that they didn't, they were tied on hits. That seems like an odd stat to me, but the more I thought about it, Edmonton is a team that so heavily relies on puck possession.
Yep.
You can't score because we have the puck.
Exactly.
So seeing Edmonton's hit count get that high, and some of these games, 44, 45, 46, 45, 50, 46. That is their hit count in 6 of their 8 losses in the last 2 rounds when they got eliminated. Florida is a team that will piss you off. Yep. They will get under your skin. They will make you do stupid things, take stupid penalties, get pulled out of position because you're trying to run for a hit.
Yep.
If Edmonton keeps the defensive structure that they've had throughout the playoffs and doesn't get caught up in the rat-like play that you get from guys like Sam Bennett and Matthew Tkachuk,
right,
they're going to be okay. But knowing that Florida brings that physical game and brings we are going to get you off your game by being pests, and Mark chiming in here to say, just ask Boston. Yeah, because that's exactly what they did.
Right.
They frustrated and annoyed Boston into submission. And if that's a team that Boston is, to me, better physically built to stand up to that kind of gameplay, whereas Edmonton is, we're going to fly by it and not even deal with you trying to win a puck battle along the wall.
Yep.
That really concerns me for Edmonton.
Here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought up the rat play and look the puck possession. That's also where the leadership is going to have to step up.
Yes,
the leadership is good. Connor McDavid is going to have to continue to be the captain that he is. Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins. I know Nugent Hopkins and Darnell Nurse switched the A, but I think Nuge is wearing the A along with Draisaitl.
Okay.
I think I can double check how it's. I haven't actually paid attention to it, but I know throughout the season the alternates literally have gone from Draisaitl, Hopkins, and Nurse. But regardless, those 3, the leadership is going to have to step up. And you bring up the hits thing. It takes me back to one of our cup runs, the conference final in 2015 against the Ducks. Ryan Kessler went on and he had said, no team can handle that much punishment for this long. They're gonna cave. It's not how it works. Because then what happened? They got their ass beat anyway. If you stick to your game and you don't let the rat play type get under your skin, like you said, you will be just fine. And the offensive power that this team has, if the leadership steps up as they've been doing and keeps everybody in line and keeps everybody in check, eyes on the prize, don't worry about what they're doing. And Edmonton's got their own rats. They got Evander Kane. They got Corey Perry. They got the guys that can, hey, look, that's their role.
Those guys be the ones
to do it. Yes.
It should not be Zach Hyman, Evan Bouchard. It can't be those guys. It can't be Skinner getting frustrated with a lot of traffic around the front of his neck, because that's what Florida is going to do.
Yeah. If they're going to get under your skin, you let them, you take it, finish the shift, and then guess what? Those guys that we just mentioned are going to go take care of business for you. Just patience.
Yeah. And even more than, power play opportunities.
Right.
Even more than goals from McDavid, Draisaitl, Barkov, Bennett, Kachuk, whoever. To me, this series is going to be won and lost by how they play in the neutral zone. And to that point about the physical play and the point about, mucking it up, Edmonton has such outstanding team speed. And Florida is such we are going to make it impossible for you to get through the neutral zone, and you're going to have to dump and chase. That, to me, is where the series will be won and lost. Can Edmonton figure out how to get through Florida's neutral zone play? Can Florida keep the speed contained? Because, in a foot race, there's nobody on Florida who's catching McDavid in a foot race. There's just not. There's nobody, I think, who's catching Draisaitl in a foot race. Maybe Barkov.
His goal in that clinching game was disgusting.
McDavid's goal?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was disgusting.
And keeping up with the comparisons, it feels like when Ovechkin drug the Capitals to the cup and was just enough of this.
I'm winning it.
And everybody on the team bought in. Everybody elevated their game. But Ovechkin even more took his game to a level that we hadn't seen before. And to me, we are seeing that with McDavid right
exactly. Now. And I think, look, we don't know what's going on in between the ears for McDavid, but he's got to be listening to the whole, is this Stanley Cup for McDavid? Is this gonna, does he need this to really solidify himself as the true best, or be on his way to the best of all time type of thing? All of those narratives are in his head, and I think it's showing.
Yeah, you got to drown it out a little bit when the puck drops, but you can't ignore it.
You can, and now this is the closest you've ever been.
Yeah.
That conference final you mentioned really was the closest they had ever been, and that we were always kind of they were almost like the Maple Leafs of the second round. Since they got McDavid and started coming into the playoffs quite a bit, they would pretty much get to the second round for the last couple of years, and that was pretty much it. And then they finally broke through, got to the conference finals, couldn't get it. Last year, same deal, lost in the second round. Now, you're finally in the dance. Don't let it squander, because every player says the exact same cliche. Who knows if you're ever going to get back again? And all of us can look at it it's Connor McDavid. Of course he's going to get back. We don't know that.
Yeah.
We don't know that.
How many great players, made it once and then did not get back?
Right.
A lot of them.
Exactly.
And for the people who are pointing to, is Nikita Kucherov your best player in the league? Is Nathan McKinnon your best player in the league? Even if you're looking at those guys right now, both of those two have won cups, and recently.
Right.
So McDavid not getting there yet. It's not to say that he's not going to have the legacy. By the time his career is done, he's going to be a top 10, if not top 5, maybe even as far as top 3 player of all time.
Yep.
I don't want to idolize and pedestalize too much right now before he does all that. But what we've seen in terms of raw talent, to me, he's the most talented player in the league.
And he's only 27.
But for him to become the best, He's
You
got to
gotta-
get that cup.
You got to get a championship.
So,
you
Joel,
need one.
I got to ask you.
Oh,
your
really
pick.
quick, before you ask,
Before I ask a pick. Okay.
there was that other fact of because the one other fact on what you were talking about with the hits,
Mhm.
on when they lose or when they win and whatever. And the other thing too is, like you said, with the puck possession, but the clinching game 6
Mhm.
against the Stars, that was the one and only time in history. That was the lowest amount of shots on goal a team has put up and clinched a series. They had 10 shots on goal total in the
Do you know
whole
what the
game.
previous record was for
No.
shots on goal?
No.
Fewest
I
shots
don't
on goal in a clinching win? 17. This wasn't
Yeah.
even just that they lowered the bar by 1. This was they took the bar and really knocked that thing to a new low.
Right. That's
So
insane.
when they can find ways to win like that, that is what it is going to take.
Exactly.
Because as
You
good
mentioned
as
the puck possession, and it was like clearly they did not have puck possession most of that game, but when they
Mhm.
did, they made it count.
And even, the much maligned Oilers defense over the last couple of years and how bad the goaltending play has been, their penalty kill in the playoffs, 95.9%.
Oh, 95.9. Okay.
Outstanding
Oh,
numbers
I was
for
looking
what
at the
they've done to
regular.
shut things down.
I had been looking at the regular season number. I saw 93. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were really
Yeah. They have it figured out. If they can get by a Florida team who is looking at last year's loss and
a Florida team that's a hive of
learning lessons.
mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Huh.
And learning their lessons from last year's cup run
Mhm.
and letting that one sit. It could not be fresher in their minds than them being here this time last year. To me, that is why I think Florida is going to win this series, because unlike Edmonton, they do have the experience of having just been there. I think that's why they're going in as the favorite.
I
And
cut
that
you off when you were asking.
as we touched on, they are the deeper team top to bottom. So my pick to win is Florida, but the team I'm rooting for is Edmonton. Where are you at on both of those fronts? The team you're rooting for to win and the team that you are picking to win? Because I do recall you picked Edmonton on your bracket before the playoffs had started. Did you not?
I did. I picked. No, this was our preseason show before the season started.
Show you had him. Your pre-playoff show you had him. Are you going to stick to your guns here and say Edmonton is still going to win?
The guns are out during the show, Dan. That means absolutely I'm sticking to my guns. I have rode with Edmonton since before the regular season started. I said this year was going to be different for them. They have shown that even when they started off under the Hawks in the standings about 10 to 15 games into the season.
They at 3-9-1.
Exactly.
This year.
Exactly. And they righted the ship way sooner than they needed to, but never let their foot off the gas pedal. Continued to battle. They found times where they were, we kind of looked at it and it was like, I don't know, man. Same old Edmonton. Looks like they're going to fall off again. Nope, not this year. I am absolutely sticking to it. They have been my pick all season, preseason, pre-playoffs, during the playoffs, and for the Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, I am rooting for Edmonton, and I am picking Edmonton. Connor McDavid is finally going to hoist the Stanley Cup.
I really hope that's the case. I mean,
as do I. And kudos to Florida. What is up with teams from Florida going to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals? They just love to do that apparently now.
Yeah, 5 of the last 6 have featured a Florida team.
It's insane.
Or wait, no, 5 straight.
5 straight.
I can't math. 5 straight.
5 straight. Tampa won those 2 in a row, and then they lost to Colorado, and then last year Florida lost to Vegas, and now Florida's going to lose again to Edmonton.
the other state of hockey as it's quickly becoming.
Apparently. It's kind of nice, which is, hey, it's cool. Like, that's the thing, too. I like the Panthers as a team. I do like them. I would have rooted for them if it was probably any other team in the finals from the West. Not the Oilers, man. I love Connor McDavid. I love Leon Draisaitl. I mean, Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman has become like the playoff hero, even though he's not leading in points. He's still every
he has
team
an outside chance at setting the postseason goals record for a single playoffs.
Yeah,
it's going to take a lot of work for that to happen. The series is going to have to go 7, but he's got an outside shot at it.
Or he's going to have to get a hat trick every game.
Either way, like it's a slim chance, but there's a chance. And, I look at Florida. I like Barkov.
Yeah, I like
Bobrovsky. I like Aaron Ekblad. I like Anton Lundell. They've got a lot of really good guys on their team. And that's why, like we said, top to bottom, that's probably the best overall roster.
Here's the thing. Call me a fan of some of the heels over the baby faces, too. I like Matthew Tkachuk.
I can't stand him.
I like him. He's fun.
He completely derailed Matt Dumba's career, and I will never
I know.
Never going to forgive him for it.
Would you say he's your Rafi Torres? Except he didn't derail Hosa's career, but he did nearly kill the man.
It's up there for me. It's really up there for me. Matt Cook is also in that tier.
Yeah.
Because he was just a scumbag.
Oh, Alexander Burrows. I hated him.
That may be a better comparison for me.
Okay.
Because also, I didn't like Torres either. Like, but
who did?
He didn't personally attack my team the way that Torres attacked Hosa and
right. And Seabrook the year before, actually. Yeah. he did. Anyway. All right, so Dan's Stanley Cup Final pick, the Florida Panthers in
this play right here. Mark exactly knew what I was getting at. The Cook hit on Savard was one of the dirtiest plays I've ever seen, and Tom Wilson being in that conversation as well. Even as bad as Tom Wilson has been, Tom Wilson is nowhere near as dirty to me as Matt Cook or Rafi Torres.
He also backs it up by being pretty good.
Yeah.
Of all the names we've said, none of them were ever really that skilled or putting up points.
Torres was for the first
for a little
3
bit.
years of his career. He was like a consistent 20, 30 goal scorer. And then he was like, screw that. I'm going to be a goon.
Yeah. He had like a 60 or 70 point season, didn't he?
He had a really high scoring season early on. Yeah. And then
he became
decided to be a
douche. So, Dan, you're picking the Florida Panthers in how many games?
I'm going to say Panthers in 6.
And I'm going to say Edmonton in 6. It's so hard to call a cup final going to 7. We talked about the history of it not too long ago. 2019 ain't that long ago, but
we should be so lucky if this finals goes to 7 games.
Here's the best thing for hockey right now, since both of these markets aren't massive markets. I know Florida kind of is, but it really isn't.
Edmonton is big locally, but not on the national scale. Florida is becoming more, but
what is helping is the broadcast team having Gretzky on it. That's kind of helping a little bit for Edmonton.
Yeah. Except the problem now is all of the finals are going to be on ESPN, so you will not get the TNT crew.
No Eddie Olczyk on any Stanley Cup Final games hurts me in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And instead, you're going to give me, please don't give me Bucci. For the love of God, do not give me Bucci.
I hate to tell you.
No, please. No, I didn't look. Sure. I know I'm dumb for not looking. Please don't tell me.
And
Leah Hextall. She's gotten a little better.
It won't be Leah Hextall.
No, she got a little better.
Kaplan.
Oh, thank God. Emily Kaplan's the saving grace of that team.
She carries the ESPN broadcast.
She should be one of the analysts as opposed to just doing like the sideline.
The problem is she's so good at doing the rink side stuff.
I know
that I almost feel like if you move her up to the booth, you take away what she's good at.
That's true.
And I'm not sure. Maybe she wants to do, play-by-player color at some point, and I wouldn't want to take that away from her. But she is just so good between the benches that I feel like I would want
on
her
it.
No matter
she's
what.
so on it, and she knows the game very well, which is not common on the ESPN broadcast team. The in studio team, I like. I love Kevin Weeks.
Weeksy's great.
Weeksy is incredible. Love Mess. And who am I missing? Oh, I love PK Subban when he is in there. Who am I missing? In studio.
I can't remember.
All right,
I'm blanking on names.
I do love
should
those
know
three.
it, and I'm blanking on names.
I do love those three. So that
the name that's coming to mind isn't it. So
yeah. But the fact that we're gonna get robbed of not having Eddie on color and not having that TNT in studio crew of Gretz, Biz, Lundqvist.
Oh, Steve Levy.
Steve Levy. I like Steve Levy.
I like Steve Levy.
I like Steve Levy.
But please, dear God, don't tell me it's going to be Butchie and Ray Ferraro.
Oh, good God. I can't do Ray
I don't
Ferraro
want that
either.
to be the crew.
I can't do Ray Ferraro. It just brings me back to NHL 22, I think, specifically when he first came in, and I was like, I don't like this.
He was there, I think, 19 or 19 when he started.
Ray, you're a nice guy, but
so once upon a time, quick tangent here, with the NHL series. At one point, Ray Ferraro was he's put something on Twitter about flight is delayed at the airport. Ask me anything. Did one of those things on Twitter, and I sent him a message asking how do they have you do the play-by-play for the NHL games for EA NHL, and do they fly you out there and give you a script of here are the lines that we want you to say, what's that process like? And what he said was, they give us a list of situations that could happen in a game and ask us to come up with the lines from there. But they don't ever get to actually watch any of the gameplay. So they're calling it as they're envisioning it in their head and not necessarily to what is actually happening on the ice.
That's the problem.
In the video game. So without ever actually seeing the gameplay, they're trying to do play-by-play. It's the dumbest way to do it.
Yeah,
that makes me mad.
That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
everybody at a disadvantage.
But anyway, I hope that we get a Stanley Cup final that goes 7 games, and it's a 7-6 final every single game with Edmonton coming out on top.
That would be incredible.
Screw goaltenders. I just want all offense all the time.
As we said to open the season, not us, but one of the referees, gentlemen, this is going to be electric. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Vaguely, but I do remember it.
They've tried to scrub it from the internet. You can't find it.
Sean McDonough's on that team too. That's right.
Oh, on the broadcast team, yeah.
Yeah, on the ESPN, yeah. He's fine.
Joel, are you ready to do a rank the blank?
I'm always ready. You know I missed that. Come on.
We didn't have Deanna to give us a freebie this week, but I still came up with one anyway.
That one was so clutch, especially.
That's an all-timer.
Well, it's an all-timer, especially too, because that gummy and a half hit.
Yeah, and it hit during that segment.
More than it hit before
the whole show. But
yeah, there were times during the show where I was like,
it peaked right there.
Told you I'm a lightweight, man. One gummy is good enough, and I took an extra half, and I was soaring.
So, Joel, your theme for this week is the sporting events that you would most want to attend in your lifetime.
Oh man, I'm wondering if you included a very specific one, since you know me, and something tells me you did, but we'll see.
Well, we're going to start with Game 7 of the World Series. And I disclaimer as well, with all of these situations, there are no teams necessarily.
I know.
It's not like you're specifically going to see Chicago
in
Game 7 of any of these.
Right.
It's not like when I do this list and put my version of this list together that I'm going to assume it's Minnesota in any of them. This is just straight up would most want to attend.
That's what I assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Game 7 of the World Series. I do love baseball. However, what comes to mind is when the World Series is being played.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting outside in the cold for a baseball game sucks.
Not necessarily in the cold.
I guess not necessarily in the cold.
LA, you get Texas,
I guess
get Miami,
you're right.
Atlanta.
You're right.
You can get some nicer climates in there.
I would.
Minnesota gets to a World Series in their outdoor stadium. That's going to suck. But
Game 7,
they're not going to get there while the Polads on the team, so don't worry about that.
I wouldn't put it last, but there's other prospects, so I definitely am going to have to put it 4.
Okay.
It's not worthy of last, but it has the potential to be like the most boring game ever, because that sometimes happens in baseball.
Okay, your next event, the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Go to the Super Bowl in person.
Oh, man. You know, it's interesting, too, because, and I kind of want to know your take. Don't tell me where you'd put yours, but, like, I want to see your take on this, too, and others, and, like, give me your guys' take, too, in the comments. For one, we know the Super Bowl is not made for normal fans. Like, the tickets are too expensive. Like, it's always for, the very rich and it's for the very wealthy, and it's for like celebrities and big business. It's mostly that. Fans go. I'm not saying they don't, but you know what I mean.
But you're paying out the wazoo to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're saving up all year if you're just a regular fan wanting to go to the Super Bowl. Anywho, combine that with part of the allure of the Super Bowl is the entire day of the party that you have, wherever that party is, whoever's hosting that party, whether it's outdoors, well, it would never really be outdoors. It's cold out most places. Whether it's, in somebody's garage or in somebody's house or wherever it is, and the allure of the food, the drinks, the potluck type of food, the potluck type of drinks, what people cook, what people order. Like there's the commercials. There's so many other aspects to the Super Bowl that you lose out on when you're just going to the game.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I'm actually going to surprise you and put it at 3.
Okay.
Because I'd still love to go to a Super Bowl. I love football. Football is 1A and 1B with hockey and football for me. But I think watching it on TV, and doing the parties and everything, like the allure of the Super Bowl in that day and doing a whole day thing as opposed to just going to the game and such, like that's where it fell on the list for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's one of those things too where like I'd want to go once,
yes,
but I wouldn't want to go more than once.
Exactly.
The third event on this list, the Masters at Augusta National.
Jeez, that is pretty sweet.
When you think about the number of people who get to go to that,
exactly,
it is an exclusive list.
People are gonna not like me, but that's going at 5. I love playing golf. I'm still working on enjoying watching it. I can watch it a little bit if I bet on it a little bit, or if I'm watching with people. But just like sitting at home on my couch watching golf, or obviously bringing a group to the Masters would be sweet, very fun. I don't know. I'm still working on it, so it's going to be at 5. And I'm sure if HP were watching, he would bash me.
I know he would have it higher than 5. And knowing what the other ones are on this list, I think there's a very good chance that he has it top 2, which are the 2 spots that you have left.
Him, not me.
Yes. Yeah. HP would have had Masters, I think, in his top 2.
Okay. No, that's fair. I agree. What about waste management?
Your 4th of 5 here.
Wait, before we do it, we got a couple here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm not spending a mortgage to the Super Bowl.
No.
Watching golf is like watching grass grow. And then we got
Normally,
Mark.
yes,
I love golf. Joel
but
and me and many gummies. I swear he'll be a huge Mark. I'm in. If you and I are taking gummies and going to the Masters, I'm in.
when it is the Masters, though, it does change the golf watching.
Hello, friends.
I'm Jim Nance. Welcome to Augusta National. Iconic.
What's the fourth?
Fourth, Olympic gold medal hockey game.
Oh. All right, I'm starting to regret where I put things.
Because my thought with Olympic gold, too, is you're traveling internationally more than likely as well.
Are we current Olympic? Like the NHL players are there?
Yes, rules that NHL players will be playing in the Olympics.
Will be playing. All right,
Olympic
so that
gold medal game.
Olympic gold medal game, like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean the U.S. is playing in it. Our teams. I'm gonna put it at 2. I'm gonna fully tell you right now, it would not be at 2 if I would have gotten that one sooner, though. It's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. That's not like if it's a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. It's not it's not the Super Bowl. I would actually much rather go to the Super Bowl. I actually would rather go to the Masters. So yeah, it would have been 5. I'm telling you right now, that actually would have been 5. Yeah. All right.
You left your number 1 spot open.
I did. Did you do it? Did you do it?
What do you think I did?
Is it WrestleMania?
It is the Champions League final.
Oh,
no,
oh,
it was WrestleMania.
Okay, let's go.
I knew I could fake you out for 2 seconds by saying the Champions League final.
I know.
Like there are.
WrestleMania was getting put at number 1 all day, every day. I want to go to WrestleMania so damn bad. I am looking into going next year because it is in Las Vegas. So yeah. It hasn't been back to Chicago since I think. Oh God, it was in Chicago, WrestleMania 22, which I think that was like 2006. I think.
As I was putting this list together, I went, I can't leave WrestleMania off this list.
I know. I was like,
but I also know that Joel is going to hold out the number 1 spot for WrestleMania.
So it was good to fake me out, because it was either fake me out for the last one or you give me WrestleMania first and we just knock number 1 out of there.
Right. Which is killing me, because lately you've been hanging on to that number 1 spot and you've been getting some really good number 1s.
I'm gonna
need to mix it up here and throw in some ones that you're not expecting. Maybe get you to think it's going to be WrestleMania, and then it's Champions League.
You did get close. You did get close, because my number 2 would not be my number 2. Look, Olympic hockey is fun, but I like the NHL more. I think most people do. I would much rather see the 2 NHL teams where it really truly is, in my opinion, the best in the world. I guess I take it back. I'm not putting it at 5, but believe it or not, it's almost like I'd have to shuffle things. Like I'd probably put it at maybe 4, and then number 2 would either be the Super Bowl or the World Series.
If I changed Olympic gold medal hockey game to Stanley Cup Game 7, does that overtake WrestleMania for number 1?
No, it would then it would actually be legitimate number 2 if it was Stanley Cup Final Game 7. To me, there's nothing like I want to go to WrestleMania so damn bad. I would want to sit close. That's the difference too. WrestleMania is wrestling's Super Bowl, but they make it affordable because it's all about the fans. Still expensive, don't get me wrong. Like, right. I'm planning on. I'm not even counting traveling. If I do try and go either this coming or soon in the near future, maybe not this next one, but to get a decent view where you're not having to just watch the big ass Titantron, like to see everything, you're probably still going to spend $800 a ticket, maybe more, maybe $1,000 a ticket.
Still cheaper than the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Oh, that's much cheaper than the Super Bowl. Oh yeah.
I think on my version of this list, I went Olympic gold medal hockey game was number 1 because I do love Olympic hockey.
I get it.
And
I get it.
The Olympics in general. I love them. Number 2, I had Game 7 of the World Series at number 2.
Yeah. I mean, nothing beats Game 7. Any sport.
Yeah.
Nothing beats a Game 7.
I had Super Bowl 3, WrestleMania 4, and Masters 5.
Okay.
Which
makes sense.
Not a big golf guy, not necessarily a big wrestling guy, but I think the difference in environment between and WrestleMania pops, no comparison. Bring on the pops.
And the unpredictability. Anybody can show up, even the guys that you would know, not even being that big of a fan.
Right.
Like last year, The Undertaker showed up randomly. And The Rock and John Cena.
So that's where I have mine.
That's a good one. I think Deanna's is still the best, but that one is I think my number 2 for favorite. That was a good one.
Okay. I'll have to keep coming up with good ones. I didn't get to ask you this beforehand, so I'm gonna have to ask you live, and I hate doing this, but show next Tuesday. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Then I can put the banner up because then we will do the show
Yes.
next Tuesday, 8:00, 7 Central. We will be right back here. But that is it for tonight's show. It was a good one.
We're back.
We're back,
baby.
Cup picks are in.
That's right.
Rooting interests are in. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to everybody who commented throughout the show. We had a ton coming tonight. Beth, Mark, Mateo, all checking in here. Beth with one more. If I were to do WrestleMania, it would be from the 90s. 90s WrestleMania.
90s WrestleMania would be nuts. So just seeing Stone Cold live back then would have been insane. I meant to really quick answer one of Mark's random questions. It would spark a conversation, but we don't have to spark a conversation. Where is it? Where'd he go? Well, either way, he was asking about here it is. Have I talked about the Gensel rumors? There were very, very recent rumors about the Hawks being very interested in signing Jake Gensel.
I bet they would. They need a veteran winger to go alongside Bedard that is not Taylor Hall, because they didn't get to see much of Taylor Hall this year, and
he ain't getting any younger, and
he's not. And they've got the cap space to, if they want to throw a load of money at him, because it's sure not going to be Marner.
No, and that's okay. I saw some stupid Maple Leafs fan account trade. Actually, I believe Mateo.
I don't trust any trade proposal from Leafs accounts.
Yeah,
I've learned not to.
Our buddy Mateo sent it to me, and him and I were making fun of it on DMs on Twitter. But it was Marner to Chicago. What was the tweet? Marner to Chicago makes sense for the Hawks. Get Bedard a partner in crime. Question is, what makes sense for Toronto? The second pick.
Yeah, wasn't it something like second overall? Oliver Moore,
Frank Mazur, not Frank
Mazur,
Mazur,
and one other player.
Yeah, and I was like,
you want basically 4 first-round picks,
including
number 2 overall.
Yeah, for Mitch Marner.
Marner.
Mitch Marner.
Don't get me wrong, Marner is really good.
Yeah,
he's not worth all of that.
If I'm paying that price, you better be sending me Marner and Matthews.
At the very least, Marner plus this year's and next year's firsts.
And even still, I don't know if I take it.
Or maybe next year's first, or this year's first, next year's second.
That's like a ready to win type of trade. And we're not even close.
No. You're looking at probable top 7 pick next year.
Yeah.
Yes, next year, theoretically, Chicago should be better. Because, frankly, hard to get worse from where they were at, especially with another year of Bedard development.
Right,
but
nearly at the bottom again.
Unless they spend to the limit in free agency and go to the cap instead of the cap floor.
And I don't think that's going to be the case because we're not winning next year. We're not winning the following year. Yeah, maybe the year after that, all of a sudden, crap! All right, now we're actually ahead of schedule, not bad. Then we can talk, but not in the next 2 years.
Yeah. So Oh goodness, that's that on that. I'm curious to see where Gensel goes. Naturally, because there's a Minnesota connection, Minnesotans have tried to say Gensel to Minnesota. It's not happening.
Mark. So Taylor Hall back to Boston. Book it. He also sent me on the Twitter account earlier the Patrick Kane to Boston. Book it. No. That's gaining some steam too. There's a potential re-signing him here. Also, this is a good question for Mark. Are we doing a draft live stream? And would we like a guest?
That I don't know. Because the last, how many drafts now? I think 4. I have done a stream with the guys from the Soda Pod, and then they get Seth Topal from Lockdown Wild. They get Brett Marshall from Sound the Foghorn. They get Spoke Z. They got everybody, collaborating for that one. So if they're doing that one again, and if I'm part of that panel, no. But otherwise, yes. So stay tuned. We'll figure out what's going on behind the scenes here, and then go from there.
Since he wants to betray us, Mark, you and I'll do it, and we'll bring on Joey. We'll bring on others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joel, name me 10 first-round prospects.
Macklin Celebrini,
That's
Ivan Demidov.
Yep.
I forgot his first name. Levshanov.
Artyom
Levshanov. Cole Iserman.
Okay.
There was a defenseman I was looking at too. Like if we had fallen a little further. I can't remember his name. Tisha Ginla.
There's 5.
I'm not going to get to 10, but I got the 5.
Anton Saleyev, Zane correct. Saleyev is the one you were thinking of? The 6'7"?
No, but I do know Saleyev. There's one other player, but he fell like into the teens, I think, most recently that I saw. Which we are in the teens now. So
let's see. Further down, defenseman who would be in the teens.
Let me.
Adam Juracek, maybe?
No, but I do know that name as well.
Brother?
Yeah, I do know that name though.
I'm trying to think who else, because there's a run of defensemen who will probably go like in the 6 to 12, maybe 13 range.
I know. I was looking at this name before. I was looking at Berkeley Catan at one point.
Caden Lindstrom.
Caden Lindstrom.
Really going to be good.
Sam Dickinson. Was it Sam Dickinson? Maybe it was Sam Dickinson. Cole Iserman. Huh. Well, I'll figure it out.
Anyway, Mark, I want to hear who you are thinking on some of these draft takes. So even if I end up doing a draft live stream, I want to pick your brain on some of these prospects.
Whoever gets center out of Waterloo in the USHL, John Mustard.
There you go.
So stay tuned. We'll let you know.
Yeah, long stream tonight. We went a little longer than what we normally would.
When we're off for 2 weeks, that's what we do.
Yeah, got a lot to cover. So thanks to everybody who tuned in, who commented throughout, and we hope that we'll see you right back here next week. He's Joel. I'm Dan. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.
Bye.